years, the world has watched BTS conquer stadiums, rewrite industry standards, and redefine what it means to perform as one unified force. Yet behind the synchronized formations, behind the flawless high notes and explosive dance breaks, there exists a much smaller universe, one that does not operate under the laws of choreography or vocal technique. It is a universe shaped by glances instead of words, gestures instead of instructions, instincts instead of rehearsals. It is a universe quietly built between two members whose connection has outgrown the stage itself, Jimin and Jungkook. Their interactions are often dismissed as coincidences, fleeting moments lost in the whirlwind of lights and noise. But what if these coincidences are not random at all? What if there is an entire language woven into the way they move around each other, a language invisible to most but unmistakable once you know where to look? The mystery begins in footage that was never meant to be analyzed. A slight zoom past the center frame. A camera angle captured by a fan who just happened to tilt their phone at the perfect moment. A slow-motion replay of what looked at first glance like nothing. But buried in those quiet frames is a world of intention. A subtle lift of an eyebrow. A shift in stance. A hand that brushes by just close enough to communicate without touching. For the first time, these details, usually swallowed by the chaos of a stadium, begin to reveal a pattern. One that suggests that the biggest BTS secrets aren't locked in their lyrics or their interviews, but in the way Jimin and Jungkook navigate a stage together. Their eyes search for one another not by accident but by instinct. Their bodies adjust not because choreography demands it, but because they are constantly calibrating themselves around each other. Zoom in closer and the invisible threads start to take shape. Jungkook's gaze trails after Jimin in ways too natural to be planned. When a formation pulls them apart, his eyes still find him. When Jimin shifts into position, Jungkook subtly mirrors the movement as though syncing himself to an internal rhythm only they share. Meanwhile, Jimin's role becomes equally unmistakable. He guides, he signals, he anticipates. The brush of his fingers against Jungkook's wrist or elbow looks accidental to an untrained eye, but slow it down, and the intention becomes clear. These aren't gestures. They are messages. In rarely seen fancams, Jimin communicates through microexpressions so subtle they disappear in real time. A flicker of a smile, a minute nod, a tightening of the jaw. Jungkook reacts instantly. A step shifts. A timing adjusts. A move sharpens. It is teamwork, yes. But it is more precise than what simple teamwork can explain. It feels like telepathy, as though they've spent years building a private channel invisible to everyone else. Take the moments during transitions, the most chaotic seconds of any stage. Members rushing into new positions, lights shifting, dancers crossing paths. Yet even here, Jimin manages to anchor Jungkook with a touch so brief it could be mistaken for choreography. A gentle press to the back. A sweep of the hand near the waist. And each time, Jungkook responds as if the world has briefly quieted just long enough for them to reconnect. Then come the glances. Those infamous Jikook glances fans know but rarely understand. Under slow playback they transform into full conversations. A glance that says, "Are you okay?" A raised eyebrow that replies, "I'm here." A small smile shared in the midst of roaring chaos, as if the two of them exist in a pocket of stillness the rest of the world cannot access. In one nearly missed moment from an old performance, Jungkook steps slightly out of place. Before he can correct himself, Jimin sends a barely perceptible signal, a tiny gesture with his hand. Jungkook freezes, adjusts his angle and sends Jimin a look that radiates gratitude. The broadcast camera cuts away oblivious, but the fan-recorded angle catches everything. For those few seconds the stage shrinks, the noise fades, and you can almost see the invisible dialogue passing between them. High-pressure performances seem to amplify this silent language. When the lights drop unexpectedly or pyrotechnics explode too close, Jimin and Jungkook instinctively find each other. In one unseen clip, Jungkook's earpiece slips during a high-intensity segment. Disaster looms, but before he can even react, Jimin's already seen it. He disguises his instruction as wiping sweat, subtly signaling Jungkook to fix his gear. Jungkook corrects it instantly and they continue seamlessly. Blink once and you'd miss the entire exchange. But study it closely and you see how deeply attuned they are to one another. Another moment shows Jungkook struggling to catch his breath after a demanding choreo section. The crowd screams. The lights burn hot. The music shakes the floor. But Jimin notices before anyone else. During a formation change, he moves closer. Not enough to draw attention, just enough to place a light, grounding touch along Jungkook's back. It lasts less than a second, but the meaning is unmistakable. I see you. I've got you. These moments are not fanfiction. They are recorded reality. Small pieces of evidence that shine brighter when viewed together. They reveal a partnership built not on performance alone, but on emotional intuition. A relationship shaped through years of standing on the same stages, facing the same storms, growing up under the same blinding spotlight. Context deepens everything. Their signals shift depending on the song's mood. During soft tracks, their movements grow gentler, their eyes softer, their gazes lingering longer than the choreography requires. During powerful songs, the dynamic becomes electric. Jungkook's intensity rises whenever Jimin pushes his own energy higher, and Jimin seems to feed off Jungkook's adrenaline in return. It is a dance within a dance, unrehearsed, unscripted, yet perfectly synchronized. Even more fascinating is how often they anticipate each other's improvisations. If Jungkook changes an ad-lib, Jimin automatically adjusts the spacing. If Jimin adds a freestyle move, Jungkook matches the energy without hesitation. No choreography can teach that. It is something born from history, shared practice rooms, shared frustrations, shared victories, and shared moments the public will never see. Sometimes their signals are playful. Jungkook smirking mid-dance, prompting Jimin to fight back laughter. Other times, the air between them shifts, charged, heavy, layered with emotion. Fans have debated for years. Whatever the interpretation, one truth stands firm. These exchanges are not meaningless. They are intentional, consistent, and real. What makes this hidden language irresistible is not the romance people project onto it, but the authenticity radiating from every tiny gesture. It is not performative. It is not scripted. It is not something that appears for cameras or fans. It is a dynamic that emerges in spite of the cameras and fans. A quiet communication system designed for moments when words cannot reach. So when did it begin? Was it during their trainee days, when confusion and exhaustion forced them to rely heavily on one another? Did it form during world tours, when they spent years sharing the same backstage corridors, the same hotel hallways, the same exhaustion and triumph? Or is it something entirely unique? An unspoken bond that simply grew naturally, quietly, inevitably? The deeper the footage is analyzed, the more apparent the pattern becomes. Their signals occur with startling consistency depending on proximity, song intensity, or emotional themes. Nothing about it is random. Each glance is a check-in. Each touch a message. Each adjustment a response. By the time the unseen footage fades to black, one conclusion becomes inescapable. Jimin and Jungkook share a stage language richer and more complex than anyone imagined. A language built not from spectacle but from trust. Not from fandom fantasies but from lived experience. Not from choreography but from connection. And this is only the beginning. The unseen always has more to say, if you know where to look.